Folks, the New Jersey Devils might just be a wagon once again. 5 straight wins for the first time since 2023, and a new host to go along with it. That's all coming up next on Locked On Devils. Roll the intro.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
This is Locked On Devils. My name is Zach Berman, and thank you for watching or listening wherever you may be. Just a friendly reminder, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel and win 300 smackaroos and bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. We are off to some start here, folks. I know there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of pessimism, perhaps, after the Devils dropped the opener in Carolina. That was only 2 weeks ago. Believe it or not, it feels like it was forever ago. But since that point, the New Jersey Devils have not lost a hockey game. They have won 5 straight for the first time since January 7th to 16th of 2023. And before everybody is like, oh my gosh, guess what? The Devils are going to win the Stanley Cup. Pump the brakes. It is October. This is early. I want to be excited, but also perhaps temper the excitement just a little bit, because we all know how these things work, especially in a sport where you play 82 games. But there is not a lot to be concerned about when these 5 consecutive wins have come against teams such as the Lightning, the Maple Leafs last night, the Panthers, the Oilers, even Columbus. I don't think Columbus is half bad whatsoever, but these have not been fluky wins either. They have been several different forms of emphatic. And last night was probably the best game the Devils have played all year. And you know what? When they gave up the 2-on-1, Willie Nylander to Matias Michelli, Toronto scores to make it a 1-goal game. I think everybody and their mother is thinking to themselves, oh boy, when does the bottom fall out? I even think last year's team, this is ending maybe 5-3 Leafs. Close your eyes. By the time you open them, game's tied. That never happened yesterday. Let's just get right into it. Last night, New Jersey Devils won 5-2 in Toronto. And I know this is not a Leafs podcast. You can listen to Locked On Leafs. I'm sure they're all happy about their Blue Jays. So unless you're Steve Dangle or Locked On Leafs, this is probably just a little dust in the wind. Last night was pretty emphatic. Devils outshot the Leafs 35-25. If Anthony Stolarz doesn't stand on his head, it's probably a lot bigger of a blowout than 5-2 even. Jack Hughes, a hat trick, the 3rd of his career. Goals also scored by Cody Glass, the power play, and Brendan Dillon. What the heck happened there? Yeah, if you're getting sniped by Brendan Dillon, things are probably going really well for you. You being the Devils, and oh boy, if you're getting sniped by Brendan Dillon, you might be in the thick of it. And I left the Rock on Saturday after the Devils defeated the Oilers and thought to myself, look, they've beaten Florida, they've beaten Edmonton, they've won 4 straight, but Toronto has not necessarily been a very kind opponent to the Devils recently. Leafs swept the Devils in the season series last year. Sheldon Keefe, of course, the old Leafs coach, has not gotten that win against his former team yet. And I tweeted it. I said, look, for better or for worse, we're going to know a lot more about this team after they leave Scotiabank Arena on Tuesday night. And Tuesday night is come and gone, and we know a lot more about this team. That was a Toronto team that I expected to be a little bit pissed off coming in. Of course, the Leafs lost to the Kraken in overtime Saturday night. Their goalie, New Jersey native Anthony Stolarz, gets run over by Mason Marchment, freaks out, flips the net over. I thought the Leafs were going to come out with a little bit of juice. They did. They scored the first goal of the game. John Tavares bats it out of midair. And then in the second period, the response. And the Devils have always been a good second period team under Sheldon Keefe. That's been where they've been their best. But this was a little bit more than just that. Jack Hughes scores in the power play, ties it at 1. And then really one of the oddest, especially from a grizzled vet, and Craig Berube, who has been around the block for a while. Andre Palat is pretty up in Anthony Stolarz' business, but there's no real contact with him. No obvious, oh yeah, this could be goaltender interference. Not something I would have challenged. Berube challenges for GI. It is almost immediately upheld. And that opens the floodgates. The Devils get another power play for delay a game. Cody Glass scores. And then there's your breakdown, your beer league breakdown. Brendan Dillon scores in the 4-on-1. How do you allow a 4-on-1 in this day and age? Like, what? I know everything in this sport seems to revolve around the Maple Leafs in one way or another. But, dude, the Leafs look terrible. And I think everybody knew they were going to miss Mitch Marner to an extent. And Brad Treliving's, Moneyball-esque, oh, yeah, we can rebuild Mitch Marner in the aggregate. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. They miss that next level that he brings so much, to the point where even when Matias Michelli scores in the 2-on-1 to cut it to 3-2, I wasn't exactly in fear of the Leafs doing any more damage in this game. And why? Because they just lacked that next level of explosiveness. It wasn't there. Austin Matthews looked invisible yesterday. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. shows up to Game 7 of the American League Championship Series wearing an Austin Matthews jersey. And everyone's thinking to themselves, oh no, Austin Matthews, he is not good in big games. He is not good in Game 7s, especially in Toronto. The Blue Jays win that game, and then Austin Matthews returns the favor walking into the arena tonight, or last night, in a Vladdy jersey, and just no-shows the game. I know there's always a little bit of, Toronto might be cursed. No, the Leafs are cursed. Everybody else is fine. The Raptors won less than a decade ago. The Blue Jays are in the World Series. Yeah, the Leafs look dreadful. And that was cemented by Jack Hughes being given way too much space. And when a player's feeling it, Jack Hughes is certainly feeling it. Of course, the hat trick last night, he has looked like the best version of himself I think we've ever seen in a Devils uniform, which is so unbelievably cool to say. He has 6 goals in his last 3 games. But when you're feeling it, you know what you do? You unload a clapper on the fly and beat Anthony Stolarz 5-hole right between the wickets. It was 4-2, and then from there, third period, the Devils just kind of ran him over. Jack Hughes got the empty netter. Throw the hats, however many hats are raining down in Toronto. I'm not sure if there were that many. Final score, 5-2, and there's a lot to feel good about. Now, if you look at the standings right now, everyone going into this season's thinking, all right, Metro's not going to be that good. It's Carolina. It's New Jersey. Is Washington going to hold up? There are 4 teams in the Metropolitan Division with 10 points right now, tied for first in the division, I guess. If you're going off a points percentage, Devils and Hurricanes are both tied at the top of the division. And then Pittsburgh. Where the heck did the Penguins come from? Also up there. And yeah, the Washington Capitals that everybody thought was going to, everybody's like, oh, the Caps are going to fall off. They got lucky last year. In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Caps are still hanging in there. And that is right now where things are at. But, you can't celebrate too much because the Devils are playing in one of those pesky back-to-backs tonight. And as happy as you have to be for Sheldon Keefe, and oh boy, are you happy for him that he finally got that elusive win against his former team. Time to turn the page because you got to come right back home tomorrow, or tonight, should I say, and play the Minnesota Wild. Wild are looking pretty solid out of the gate. We'll break down that matchup in a moment. 7 points, 3-3-1. Of course, Kirill Kaprizov, the highest paid player in the National Hockey League. So far, he's lived up to the billing. And we will talk about that in a moment. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It has helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. Yeah, even for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private. It's all handled by real doctors. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know that we sent you. Rugiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. So let's get into tonight's game. New Jersey Devils 5-1-0 on the year versus the 3-3-1 Minnesota Wild. You can find it on MSG Sports Network or ESPN Plus, wherever you can watch the National Hockey League. I have Xfinity here, so in Monmouth County, so I am actually blacked out of my own team's hockey games. Gotta love the NHL, but no fear, I'll be in the building so I can break things down for you. Minnesota Wild coming in with former New Jersey Devils head coach John Hynes at the helm. Devils actually swept the Minnesota Wild in the season series last year. First time the Devils had actually beaten John Hynes. Devils actually swept the Minnesota Wild in their home and home last year. It was the first time the Devils had actually ever beaten former coach John Hines in a real-life National Hockey League game. Wild are coming off of a 3-1 victory at Madison Square Garden on Monday night. Danila Yurov for the Wild scored his first goal in the National Hockey League. Unsurprisingly for Minnesota, goal leader Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. He's got 5 goals on the year after scoring the contract extension to end all contract extensions. Whoo, boy, listen to all that money that he was given. The richest contract in NHL history, 8 years, $136 million, and I would say it is worth every penny. Good for the Wild. Good for the Wild to keep a player of that caliber. You don't want to, he is the franchise. He's going to be the guy to watch. Matt Boldy has been great for them this season, leads the team in assists. Guy that I would have loved the Devils to draft, Zeev Buium, is off to a strong start in his first full season in the NHL. Minnesota comes in 6th in the Central at the moment. Nico Daws will be playing his first game of the year tonight. It's going to be his first regular season game since April 16th, 2025. I'm not the biggest, I know the Devils are lucky to have had him slip through waivers after Jacob Markstrom went down, but Nico Daws I think he's okay. He is not great. He's an AHL guy. That's really what he is. This is going to be the first time that in a while that he has had the full might of the NHL Devils, the NHL caliber Devils squad in front of him. And because, the last time he played, who was on that team? Curtis McDermott, Curtis Lazar, Nolan Foote, Justin Dowling, Tomas Tatar, Nathan Bastian. Yeah, things were not particularly great in front of Nico Daws. Of course, the Devils lost that game. Also, oh boy, hold on. In the words of former Devils broadcaster Steve Cangelosi, it's Nason, Stefan Nason. Welcome back to the lineup. The Devils getting a crucial piece on the wings back. And look, if what they have been doing so far this year without Stefan Nason is any indication, boy, is he going to be just another log on the fire. Happy to have him back. He brings energy that this team, maybe they don't desperately need him right now, but they might desperately need him when the time comes. I got to be honest. Look, you're not going to go 81-1 in the regular season. My gut tells me that they lose this game. Why? I think they match up well with just about everybody right now with how they're playing, but it's hockey. Things are going to happen. It's not the end of the world if they drop 1 or 2. They've racked up 5 consecutive wins against good to great teams. And I know, I would say I know how this fan base works. I am a lifelong New Jersey Devils fan. The sky is not falling. If it is falling, you will be the first to hear it from yours truly. If things are getting wacky, it is October 22nd. They have one of the best records in the National Hockey League. I promise you, the sky is not falling with a loss tonight. But we can't be all sunshine and rainbows here on Locked On New Jersey Devils. I guess perhaps a little bit of pessimism is in order. Let's talk in a moment about the former Devils' second overall pick, who I'm a tad concerned about. The NFL season is here. Unless you're a Jets fan, it's already over. And FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. For example, if you're a pessimistic New York Giants fan, perhaps you're up 19-0 after the third quarter against the Denver Broncos, and your heart is sinking because you see Deonte Banks in the football game. Oh no, we might actually lose the game. Let me put down $5 on the Broncos to win. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. I wish I'd bet on the Broncos. I would have won. I wish I bet on the Broncos on Sunday. I wish I'd used FanDuel. I would have won a lot of money. But guess what? Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, just a little bit of pessimism to wrap things up because everything is through the roof right now. Put a pitchfork in 5 consecutive games. By the way, Don LaGreca, who I can speak on personal experience, is just a genuine salt of the earth, incredible human being. Hopefully we'll have him on the show at some point, maybe. But he has been so good to start this season. And yeah, that signature win call, put a pitchfork in it. Gotten to hear it 5 consecutive games. They have not lost with him on the call all year. Of course, the only loss to Carolina was a national broadcast. Now, with that being said, let's wrap up with something I'm a little bit concerned about, and that would be the play of Simon Nemec, the former 2nd overall pick. Noticeably a bad night for him last night. Stuck out like a sore thumb in a group that was playing their rear ends off in Toronto. Per Hockey Stat Cards, he was the worst Devil by game score yesterday. And he was responsible for both of the goals against. Bad icing, pinned the Devils in their own end. Tavares scores to make it 1-0 Leafs. And then right after Brendan Dillon scored to make it 3-1, bad pinch by Simon. Toronto gets a 2-on-1. Nylander, Michelli, boom, 3-2. Now, I still believe in Simon Nemec long term. I think where my concern comes into play is he is a very volatile defenseman in terms of where he finds himself on the ice. And sometimes these guys are prone to that one big mistake. We've seen it so many times with Damon Severson when he was a Devil, Evan Bouchard. Here's the difference, though. Severson and Bouchard, they're contributing points. There's offense that makes up for some of these lapses, and Simon Nemec has not really had the offensive output to undo some of the mistakes he's been making. So, yes, he's young, and I'm not sure if he's done enough. I don't think he's done enough to the point where when Jonathan Kovacevic eventually comes back from LTIR, I think Nemec is going to find himself riding the pine. The Devils are going to need a top 6 winger at some point this season. If Nemec keeps on playing like this, I think he's going to find himself in a different uniform after the Olympics. That's just my opinion. Hopefully he can turn things around. He's still so young. We know what he is. We know what the potential is. We know what the capabilities are. We know what he can do when he is at his best. And it would be in the best interest of this team if he gets back to that. But with that being said, the New Jersey Devils are 5-1 coming into tonight's game against the Wild. I'll be right back here tomorrow to break it all down for you. And guess what? That wraps up this edition of Locked On New Jersey Devils. Tomorrow, we'll break down the game against the Wild. We'll set up Friday's game against San Jose. Devils getting back to home ice. They have a 3-game homestand before they hit the road for the West Coast. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, or I guess it's X now. X, TikTok, Instagram, at Locked On Devils. I just got the keys to all the cars. Not going to crash them, but I got to put some gas in them first. So it's going to be a little bit of getting everything up to speed here. It's so exciting to just take over this incredible platform, be part of this incredible community, and just to be a Devils fan talking hockey with my fellow Devils fans. This team has meant the world to me since I was 6 years old, since my Cub Scout troop got me free tickets to a game. Fell in love with them from day one, and it's just exciting to be able to get to this point. So if you want to talk some puck with me, reach out to me on Twitter at Zach Berman. That's my personal account. And once again, the Devils might be a wagon, but you are listening to Locked On Devils. Stay classy, Garden State. Got a fun season ahead.